Welcome back for the second segment of the May 5th Trips and Traps. I'm Andy Serling with Eric Donovan.
We have two more races to bring you. We'll get back to the Saturday action with the 10th race from Saturday, looking at a maiden special weight for New York breds here. The horse we're looking at is a first-time starter, the 10 Russian Ally.
Yeah, I think Russian Ally, and I think Eric agrees with me, is a horse that's going to be an old trapperoo coming out of this race. Breaks slowly and drops back here. I mean, you've got all the intangibles going for you. You've got a first-time starter from Linda Rice that was ridden by Ramon Dominguez, that had a trouble line, breaking slowly, and finished fourth. I mean, you can just feel people jumping on board.
Well, the only thing I'll say about it is that it wasn't a close fourth. It was a distant fourth, beaten 12 lengths, so maybe that kind of mitigates some of those factors there. But still, I kind of tend to agree with you a little bit. A horse that, I thought really, did a little bit of running late for the most part, which we'll get to in a little bit. But I thought all in all, just one of those horses that broke slow and did some running late.
I think ultimately what they want to do is downgrade anybody to finish behind her in this race.
Sure.
The race or him. This race was dominated on the front end. Another Linda Rice horse, Nutmeg QV Royal, wins the race and wins it quite easily. I'm not saying, and I don't think you are either, Russian Ally, who just gets in the picture right here. And Ramon did as good a job as you could. He got right to the rail after the bad break and saved ground and angled out in the stretch. I'm not saying this horse isn't without talent and couldn't run a little bit better and probably will break well the next start. And look, maybe if he breaks well next time, he'll have more speed. It'll be a different story. You see him sort of weaving a little between horses, but he was fourth because he was 12 lengths behind the leader in this race, and just nobody else was running.
Right, that's the thing. How good was this race? But aside from the winner of the top two horses, what else was behind those horses? We don't really know. And right now the feeling is probably that they're not all that great. But still, for a first-time starter, I guess he can improve a little bit. He did finish up. He did beat 6 horses down the lane there, past 6 horses.
No, we're being a little hard. He obviously could run a little bit better. The problem is he's probably going to be about 7-2 or 3-1 in his next race, and that's something I don't want. I would be happy to move him up a few lengths, 3 to 4 lengths off this race, and a second-time starter, he could run better, but I wouldn't take him at a short price unless he looked pretty strong.
Okay, we'll move on to our second race from the second segment, and this is the 9th race from on Sunday, and we're going to take a look at the Pretty Boy Freud, New Yorker, and Devin Rock. This is a now one is a one on the grass.
Yeah, I mean, this race was won by an upsetter for Chad Brown. Walker's Landing got a terrific ride from David Cohen in this race to win it, and he sort of was able to take advantage of some misfortunes of others. You've got the 2 Pretty Boy Freud who gets a little stuck inside, the 3 New Yorker who got the winner got the jump on him, and Devin Rock, the 8, the heavy favorite, who was 4-5 in this race, and he is just a money burner extraordinaire. And I think he's a jockey's nightmare because he's almost an impossible horse to ride.
Yeah, I think you're right, and we'll take a look at right now. Devin Rock's out in the clear on the outside there. You said it before, and I think you're absolutely right. This horse needs to be covered up. He needs to, have no running room at the top of the stretch, then have a seam open, and then, make that 1/8 of a mile, 3/16 of a mile run. Because right here, he's going to drag the jock up, keep dragging up, and if you just can't get him covered up, he's just going to keep running to run off again. It's not going to win.
Right. I don't think this was Javier's choice, and I think you're right. He gets out in the clear and he just sort of runs off, and you can see him running up there to lead. And it's just the wrong kind of move, especially for this horse, who's just a bit of a horse who doesn't get it finished. Now, Pretty Boy Freud's inside. New Yorker's outside of him, and there's Devin Rock moving to the lead in here. And once again, I think Devin Rock's the kind of horse that Garrett Gomez might be able to win with, because he seems to do okay jamming him inside horses and waiting till the very end. But this is not the kind of horse you wanted 4-5 in races. Not that it'll be that again. Pretty Boy Freud may be intimidating the inside. New Yorker just gets beaten the punch by David Cohen's crafty ride.
Yeah, I think all 3 horses obviously have some kind of talent. New Yorker, I think, is probably the one I like the best out of this group, to be honest with you. And I think he's a little bit better at 7 furlongs in a mile. He gets kind of stuck in traffic there. Now, Pretty Boy Freud's going to have an opening on the rail. He's going to go through there, but New Yorker's going to have to wait for a seam for a little bit.
Yeah, and he gets in that spot, and he's done it. You pointed this out to me. He's done it before. He's a horse that will run through seams. He doesn't need to be absolutely outside of horses, but as you can see, the one has got that jump on him, and he just can't make up the ground. New Yorker's been in great form, even running well in the dirt, relatively speaking, over the winter, and he's a better turf horse. Now, Pretty Boy Freud, you see him sort of hanging towards the inside. I'm just not quite sure that he's most comfortable on the inside, but he's also another one of those horses that has trouble finding the winner's circle.
Yeah, he's run 6 times in the grass, I believe, and has 3 second-place finishes and a couple of third-place finishes as well. So, he's obviously a horse that, looks good on paper, has those figures that match up with everyone else's right there at the finish, but somehow always has to settle for minor rewards.
Yeah, but he was first off a layoff, and he's decent, but I agree. He seems to just not quite have the New Yorker is the one I want out of here. I don't know what they do with Devin Rock. Maybe, there'll be one they'll jump off the bandwagon next time, and it's tough when you have a horse that needs the perfect ride. And that perfect ride and perfect trip is not the easiest one to obtain. You've got to get him buried in there, and you've got to time the move right. Not exactly the kind of horse you ever wanted a short price.
Yeah, probably needs. You know what? I wouldn't mind seeing that horse in like a mile race with a fast pace, where he's going to drop back a little bit if he can get down inside and stay behind some horses. I think that might be the right kind of scenario for Devin Rock.
Perfect trips are often good for many horses, and unfortunately, he may need one. Once again, the email address is tripsandtraps@NYRAinc.com. We love and need to hear your thoughts.